Equity considerations, in my view, are exceedingly important, and that is why, unless there is equity, for example, in water harvesting, see, in all the small farms, 2 or 3 devices makes it much more sustainable. One is rainwater harvesting, wherever you don't have an irrigation facility, what we call farm pond. Most of the farms of the poor people is the crop livestock integration. Usually they have 1 or 2 buffaloes in India, or a few cows, not very large scale farming, but that adds to both household nutrition security as well as some amount of additional money. There has to be some diversified income to insulate farming from the weather, from the various kinds of risks. Farming is the riskiest profession in the world. Both in my country, we say the monsoon and the market determine the well-being of a farming family. If the monsoon doesn't behave well, if there are drought or floods, or the market doesn't behave well, then the people are in difficulty. Therefore, equity considerations are exceedingly important. About the agro-biodiversity, I want to suggest, Julia is also here, it's important to have a measure like what we call the red data books. I think it's very important to have the red list in the case of agro-biodiversity also, in order to ensure people understand this is what they are losing. Talking about indigenous people, particularly from the Philippines, when I was at the International Rice Research Institute, we had a very famous anthropologist, Harold Conklin, from Yale University. When I reached the Erie, he asked me the question, do you want to see the world's best rice breeder, world's best rice breeder? I said, certainly I would like to meet the world's rice. He took me to Ifugo and introduced me to a lady who said she is the best selector of rice. In other words, they live in what we call harmony with nature, and they are able to. I think this area of agro-biodiversity, although the Biodiversity Convention, is exceedingly important for food security, health security, and nutrition security, and apart from livelihood security of the people. There are a number of other issues. Now we are already going late, but let me say, arising from this, I think I said about 2014, the year of family farmers. In the recently London hosted Olympics. Next to Olympics is Rio. And one very interesting initiative of the Prime Minister of UK, Mr. Cameron, he said the Olympic hunger event. In other words, he and the Brazilian Vice President got together along with a famous Olympic champion. They decided that between now and 2014, 25 million children should be saved from undernutrition, stunting, 25 million children below 5, under 5 stunting and so on, and developed a strategy for it. And in that particular strategy, biofortification is an important component. You can design farming systems based on nutritional conservation, but biofortification, I don't mean genetic modification. There are enormous genetic variability in plants and also in animals with reference to the nutritive properties. I mentioned about pearl millet strain, very rich in iron. Quality protein maize, very long ago, it was discovered at Purdue, high lysine corn as they call it. A whole series of important, and the yellow orange flesh sweet potato, for example. The children love the sweet potato, but the orange flesh sweet potato provides you with all the beta carotene you require. In other words, then, we should ensure that agro-biodiversity not only conserved from the point of view of breeding for resistance and so on, but also in the point of view of nutritional characters. And like the Olympic event, the year of the family farmers, they have that 4 years from now is the Olympic event, and they said, you need an Olympic effort to overcome hunger and malnutrition in the country. And that is why I think they chose that particular theme. It's an Olympic effort, means achieving the impossible. Every fellow wants to have a gold medal and so on, and therefore they try very hard. Similarly, to overcome hunger and malnutrition, you require an Olympic effort, and that can be done only through agriculture, small-scale agriculture, small farmer holding. The family farmers must be strengthened. I have no objection to industrial farming, but the fact remains that industrial farming will always have a problem. I conclude by this, the 50th anniversary of the publication of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. What she tried to say, at that time. She was ahead of her time. Long ago she showed indiscriminate use of pesticides, indiscriminate the behavior of agriculture will lead to large consequences, whether it's eutrophication of lakes and so on. But I think we should remind ourselves of the need to ensure that agriculture is based on conservation. When I learned agriculture, first definition my professor said, agriculture is applied ecology. This is the definition which I was given in the agricultural college. And I think we have forgotten that definition. Agriculture is applied ecology. If you want to have sustainable agriculture, it has to be rooted on ecological sound principle. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's really wonderful to have you with us and have you do that. Former Director General of IUCN. Julia has joined us now, and I wondered if you wanted to make a closing remark.
Thank you. I've been here for an hour, so
yeah.
but came in quietly. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you, Ken, for coming to Gland in a couple of months ago only and convincing me, and that didn't take very long. We didn't even get to the first course of a good dinner. That when you convinced me that as somehow or other, the Director General for many years in IUCN has had a couple of slots reserved for last minute brilliant ideas. And this was definitely one of them. It just fits so well into our program, Nature Plus, food security, nature-based solution for food security. That was a little bit of a discussion in IUCN. I mean, we know that FAO is working on agricultural things, but we already have a great partnership with all of you actually sitting there. And so this is a perfect time to do this. Today there are lots of discussions about food security, probably more from the conservation part, but building the bridges between the two communities, you've all said it. And I really love the fourth pillar of sustainability that you said. I'm like you, so many cultures in my background. So this evening, of course, we're going to have a World Leaders Dialogue. Dr. Swaminathan is speaking on food security, nature plus food security. So I think this is just the beginning of not only a great conversation with this, which this was, but action, really, and very quickly. So thanks for inspiring me, and thanks for putting together a great event, really.
This session will also connect with another session which is at 2:30 this afternoon, where we will actually look at a number of sort of practical examples of this being realized at landscape scale. So don't miss that. That's at 2:30. Can someone tell me the room? In Hala. Yes. Hala A. Also in this building. I think it's on the third floor. Third floor. The first floor, the lobby floor. So I really want to extend my thanks to our speakers. You probably noticed that I was a little lax on time, but they were being so eloquent and so on point. I didn't feel it was useful to try to interrupt them and harass them. I realize this has curtailed our discussion. I recognize many of you will want to go. At the same time, I think those of you who'd like to stay, let's have a few questions or comments from people, if that's okay with everybody. We won't go on long now, but we can continue over lunch and this afternoon. So if you'd like to use the microphone, please, you wanted to make a comment. You have the microphone this session. Thank you so much. So let's give those who need to leave a chance to leave, and then we will. Okay, so who would like to go? Who would like to comment first?